third plane is from here to there, in like this, in this direction. And time is the fourth dimension. So the things we don't know and cannot know directly, which do not interfere with us, belong to the same four dimensions. But the scientists have worked out so far, mathematically, more than 14 dimensions, which are mathematically possible, but which you cannot conceive. So, if the dimensions change in the hereafter, and the hell belongs to other dimension and the heaven belongs to another dimension, they can never cross their path. Impossible. So these are the things the Holy Quran is talking about. 1400 years ago, the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam was definitely told by Allah that hell and heaven would remain within the same dimensions and will not within the same space, but will not cross each other's path. That means their dimensions are different. So if our dimensions are different, how can we conceive a carnal hell and a carnal heaven giving us torture or providing us pleasure? Because spirits can't enjoy water or honey or anything else. Then they should understand this. This is no heaven to be confined in a place with only running water and wine and milk and honey. Won't you be bored to death? What hellish heaven that would be if it is carnal. It is not carnal. The four things convey messages. Honey has its own curative powers. It indicates health, sweetness and health, and the best of things. Honey is the nectar of whatever vegetative kingdom produces, whatever is produced through vegetation. Honey is the very best essence of that. So it is only that meaning that whatever God will have for you, the very best of that will be provided to you and constantly, without ending. And milk is a complete diet. And water is the source of life. See? And wine indicates extra pleasure over and above food. So these are four central messages to man, that in some form you will find these things, but that form is not known to you. We are just making an example. Masalul Jannah. It's not the Jannah itself. And because you are afraid of fire and you know it burns and hurts, so we are giving you some examples of fire, but the torture could be a different type of spiritual experience, which sometimes is so strong and so punishing that people who go through torture in this world, mental tortures I mean, they become mad, they commit suicides. To burn in that hell is no pleasure at all, no easy experience. It can exceed other torture or other forms of punishments. So punishment that would be, of course there is no doubt, and burning and something, but they could remain within the same plane and yet be different. Now I quote now example of how we create our heaven and how we create our hell, as told by Hadhrat Massih Hadhrat Massih pointed out that it is the attributes of God and the love of God which in fact would create heaven for the soul. God is the source of everything beautiful. God is the source of everything pleasant and pleasing and loving. But we can only acquire this taste with worship, with sincerity, with constant prayer to Allah, And with imitation of God's attributes, if we become Rahman here on earth, if we try to become Rabb here on earth, like mothers do to their children, if they do it to others as well, then they will be like real Rabb. Then they can be like Rahman. And if you begin to do it entirely for the sake of Allah, not for your own personal aggrandizement or show, then you begin to draw a pleasure out of being kind to others. You don't draw pleasure by receiving anything. You feel very bad inside, if somebody shows favor to you. But when you show favor to others, then you have a divine pleasure out of that. And that is what sustains the prophets here on earth. Despite the enmities, hostilities from all others, their response is that of kindness and love and consideration for them. So all this, when they do, it generates pleasure, which is spiritual pleasure. So once we train our souls to receive pleasures of this nature, out of love of God, we begin to love humanity. Out of love of God, we try to imitate Him here on earth. Still, this pleasure is a bit remote pleasure because we are still at a very long distance from God. And these godly things have not acquired any form for us. But if with this we come closer to the beauty of God, what a heaven it would become. But for that we must be trained here on earth. If you do not love God and God comes closer to you, that will be a punishment. It will not be a heaven for you. This Massih has pointed out in a different form. He says, imagine a thirsty man who is dying of thirst and who is also hungry and has lost his energy and is about to be dehydrated, and you offer him a beautiful bunch of sweet and fragrant grapes which are cooled. Now, these cool grapes, when you offer them to such a man, they would provide him like a heaven. They would feel like a heaven. Because he would be dying of hunger, shortage of energy, and particularly when you're hungry, you like sweet things and cool things. His thirst will be quenched with the watery element in the grapes. His desire for sugar and energy will be fulfilled, will be met with by the sugar in the grapes, and then the coolness itself will quench the fire of your thirst and uneasiness. This will be a heaven for the person. But if somebody again is very dry, he has always been dehydrated by vomiting and diarrhea, and feels so nauseated that even the thought of food makes him vomit. Now he needs this as much as the other person, and you offer him a cool bunch of grapes, and see, he will slap on your face. Remove it. Even the smell will hurt him. The sight of water and food and drinks would hurt him. He said, this thing is the same. The grapes are the same cooled and chilled fruit of the highest quality, but it has different effects. It creates heaven for one and hell for the other. So Hadhrat Massih said, it is your spiritual health which will create heaven for you. When you come closer to God, His attributes will provide your rizq. And that is the spiritual rizq which will keep you alive and which will give you an everlasting pleasure. it will take different forms. Now, because tastes differ here on earth, because the capacity to enjoy differs,